The home stretch to September can be a little bit grim if your team is sitting at the lower end of the ladder. So, at the pub this weekend, here's who you should be shamelessly barracking against, depending on who you go for. If you're a Hawthorn supporter, you're watching the Hawks fly towards a finals finish, but you should also be watching Carlton's every move because the Hawks have the Blues' first-round pick from a previous trade. Right now, that is sitting at pick 7, but for the Hawks to really cash in, they need Carlton to keep losing. They also need teams like Melbourne and Essendon and St Kilda to finally win some games and leapfrog Carlton on the ladder. The glaringly obvious issue there being the form of those teams. You've got Essendon, who's lost 6 straight, St Kilda, who's lost 8 of their last 9, but Hawthorn is begging basically anybody to overtake Carlton. Meanwhile, West Coast, who famously bet against Hawthorn trading for their picks instead of Carlton's, you kind of got the opposite issue. You need Hawthorn to lose a few more games. Yes, you're going to get that number 1 draft pick and also potentially pick 2 as that free agency compensation if Oscar Allen departs. But that aside, if you're a wooden spooner, you're walking into the draft with pick 1 and pick 13, which is where that Hawthorn pick is at the moment. It's not a great result. As for Essendon, you're walking into the draft with a really nice hand, actually. You've got picks 5 and 6, as well as 22 and 23. So if you're a Don supporter, you want to watch Melbourne and St Kilda lose. Preferably Melbourne, as you've got their pick 6, and the St Kilda pick is pick 22. And obviously, you'd rather have a better first-round pick than second-round pick. You get it. Essendon also arguably the only team with a hand that could trade for Harley Reid. Hear me out. I know he's contracted till the end of 2026, but imagine a world where Harley decides he wants to come back to Victoria. He's already linked to the Dons. He trained with them before his own draft. He did also train with Carlton, but Carlton don't have the collateral, so just for a second, okay? If you're Essendon, you've had 12 debutants this season. Wouldn't you rather take a kid who's got 2 years under his belt, who is obviously a star, rather than develop a bunch of draftees? Now, if you're a Tigers fan, finally, I have some really good news for you. You just have to watch North Melbourne lose because you hold their first-round pick, which is wild when you think about it considering the last draft. But yes, the Tigers are walking into this draft with pick 2 and pick 3. So maybe a little silver lining after the Lawler news. Gold Coast is also holding a treasure chest of first-round draft picks. They've got their own, they've got Collingwood's, and they have Port Adelaide's. Now, you can't see the Pies falling down the ladder, really, but you could potentially watch every single Port Adelaide game, hoping they lose a few. Interestingly, and not necessarily relevant, but the Suns' final game of the home and away season will be against Port Adelaide, and it'll probably be off the back of maybe just a couple of days rest, considering they still have to play that makeup game against Essendon that I definitely didn't forget about from the start of the season. The bottom line being that this year's draft might be a bit thin, but every win, every loss, every pick swap could reshape your club's future. So even if your team isn't in finals contention, there's still plenty to play for.